On this edition of Inside Board Games, we are at NerdFest. We are on location at NerdFest, and we are talking to Sam McDavid. Sam McDavid is the designer of Everstone, Discovering Ignis. Thanks for being here. Tell me about your game. I have a lot of questions about the title.
Okay. Yep.
And so let's start with how did you come out with the idea for the game in the first place?
So I guess I am very much a mechanics first gamer, as like just not be trying to get like make it in the industry as like for the hobby. I'm very much like looking and intrigued by games mechanics first. So that was naturally kind of how I lent myself to designing, where there's a couple like mechanics in the game that we can go more in depth on if you want, that have is where kind of the game started. They were fun actions that I wanted to build a game around, and sort of grew from there. But that was kind of how the impetus of the game. The title came for once I solidified sort of the core rule structure and everything like that. There are 3 different resources in the game, with the idea of if you combined them all, it would create some other sort of gem. Not actually part of gameplay, but that's where Everstone kind of like was sparked, and that's where it stuck. And then with the idea of trying to create like a potential world that could grow, Discovery is a lot of like the theme that I put in this game. So Discovering Ignis being the first location that you end on, that's depicted on the cover. Ignis coming from a short story, as my buddy said, it was a really cool ancient theme to mean rock, and I didn't fact check him at all. I just went with it.
Like Igneous Rock? I was thinking of St. Ignis. I love the UP. So St. Ignis is a cool place to visit.
But Igneous Rock kind of coming and like discovering it from the ground is sort of where like it's loosely tied to that.
And so your background, my understanding is that your background is in, you have a design, or you have a...
So I went to school for industrial design.
Okay.
And so I have a BSA in industrial design, and I've worked for 6 years in product development I worked for 2 lifestyle brands that we would take the classic project managerial steps to like bring real products to market that weren't board games, and I kind of got burnt out with that right around the pandemic. And this was sort of my escapism of board game design. And
so the instructional design work that you do sort of in your day job, is that game related?
No, so nothing I was doing.
Just the lifestyle brands.
But like the project management of like working with vendors overseas and developing modeling, and so Everstone has a custom insert that I have modeled, but like a lot of that design was like taken from my day job experience.
I'm always fascinated how these designers bring their day job into their game design.
Yeah, so like the package design and like the actual tangible product design of like the touching feeling is very much kind of my comfort zone in the world of
right.
And then game design was also a comfort zone because it was a hobby. The marketing and like establishing and running a company, very new.
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, this will become your one and only day job.
That's the dream. Yeah.
I mean, so you have a game company. What's the name of your game company?
McDavid Publishing is the game company.
Okay, McDavid Publishing. Yep. And so, I mean, the hope is to. I mean, this is it. You know, you kind of want to keep growing it and kind of no turning back attitude.
Yeah, I like to think that I'm still somewhat young enough to where I don't have, like I just got married last year, but I don't have a ton of outside real life responsibilities where I've been able to save up enough to kind of invest in trying to turn it into the day job or a full-time job. And so it didn't start that way. This was the passion project, and once there was sort of outside connections where I started going to open play tests and getting a lot of positive reception and seeing this like kind of the impetus of going further in it is I always like when people will say verbatim like, that was a fun turn, I'm okay to lose now. Like there's something in the game that is like captivating enough where it's like it doesn't matter if like I win or lose, but that was a cool memorable moment. I've tried to pack a lot of that into Everstone, and once that started to kind of plant, like I started seeing those seeds grow in others that were playing it that I was outright saying just have a cool turn. They were kind of seeing like those reactions is what kind of gave me the energy to push it further.
And that's huge. I mean, I've played some games where I've won and it's been a horrible experience. You really want to find those games where even if you lose, it's like, oh, let's play again. That was fun.
Exactly, yeah.
That's the holy grail of gaming, I guess.
And so I'm not going to say it's for everyone, but that was sort of like the mindset of like finding that cool combo or cool pattern is like where Everstone was built from the ground up, of trying to give opportunities to be clever, even if the clever doesn't lead to winning.
Right. Yeah, it's important. So we're at a gaming convention. How long have you been doing this, and sort of where does the in-person marketing kind of fit into your overall plan as opposed to, social media or web or stuff like that?
I'd say like it's probably of the 3 pillars of marketing that I'm like focusing on for it. In-person is very much one that is one of my bigger focuses.
Okay.
Like in terms of like the return from a business end, there's a lot of lift and like logistical measures and cost that goes into in-person. Where if it wasn't something that filled my cup personally as like connecting with people, you could build a business plan around like surviving but not doing that.
Sure.
But connecting with people that like, we're at Nerdfest, and I'd say like the core group of the Gamecasters listeners were some of the initial fans who helped push me out of just like designing it for myself.
Okay.
So being able to connect with them as some of the first backers of the game and those that helped like kind of had a heavy influence, like Ryan, who's running the whole fest,
Sure.
His voice is actually the voiceover for the Everstone preview video. So
oh, really? Okay,
There's
cool.
a lot of connection that I have with this one where like I would love to continue to grow that and build those connections like at other conventions that are throughout the world. But right now I'm focusing on just the, lower 48
Sure.
states.
Yeah, you got to start with, start
closer
close.
to home.
Yeah, start in your locus of control, so to speak.
Exactly.
What's your favorite kind of games? Like, what kind of got you into gaming, and is that kind of reflected in this game here?
So I guess what got me into gaming is I grew up like my earliest memories are playing hearts and cribbage and spades like with
Okay.
my dad and family members. So I've always viewed that as like the 6th love language of me, is like connection over like tabletop items.
Sure.
I didn't necessarily like from that point like dive into the heavy gaming until I went to boarding school in my senior year. One of my dorm parents, who is like teachers that live in
Okay.
the building connected to the student like housing, had Carcassonne set up on his floor, and so I kind of sat down, played with him a couple games, and he kicked my butt, and so I said, let's re-rack it. And after 6 plays later of going 0-6, I kind of like had that bug of like, that's really cool. And so like I felt like that itch wasn't fully scratched until I first started dating my wife, where she was one of the first people that was really like interested in hearing more about like my closeted gaming experience, where it really like made me feel comfortable finding games that we could connect over. So it started with Santorini, because it was, I collected HeroScape. I never really played HeroScape, but I collected it, and like every now and then when one of my cousins would come over, we'd play for hours and hours, but it was mostly just like I treated it as a toy that I would collect, set up, and then like hide from everyone.
Well, sometimes that is the game. Sometimes the game is just collecting the game.
Exactly, and like I thought like HeroScape, if you're familiar with it or not, has like
Not very much, but
it has this really cool map system that they're all these hex tiles that interlock with one another, and you can build up. And so just building the
neat.
map terrain even before you're playing the game is something that like I would just, from like middle school on would like dump it out in my room and treat it as Lego and just like build up the maps.
Okay.
And so when
I like games where there's building things like that.
Yeah.
It's not just, it's not just the kind of a two-dimensional experience. I mean, there's a lot of fun games like that.
Exactly.
And since I don't know exactly the mechanics of your game, I don't want to be dissing your game before you tell me about it. But I do enjoy like some of the three-dimensional aspects.
It definitely a 2D element, but 3D just from like a visual table presence is also like very captivating.
Gotcha.
But I think one of the first times she had come over, my dad had made a joke about it, and she was actually intrigued to learn more. So that was sort of what kind of started me on the roller coaster of I gotta find, because this is a 6-hour endeavor. I gotta find things that are like smaller that we can play.
Right.
Which that kind of started the momentum of chasing the next fun experience we could play together, which introduced me to Stonemaier games, and Jamie is like a huge professional inspiration of mine. I've had a couple opportunities to connect with him online and talk with him, and just what he stands for in terms of like not only as a designer, what he designs as his games, but also what he's trying to create and bring into the hobby is something I find like very admirable. So that was probably my inspiration of like when I looked to take the plunge of doing things myself and seeing how I could do in the industry. He is one that I kind of looked to like kind of follow that roadmap, because I think, for better or worse, I really respect what he's done.
Sure. I just think it's hilarious that you kind of started on your road to board gaming at boarding school. I mean, board is right there
that is
in the
true,
name.
Yeah.
You'd think that would be more of a thing.
Yeah, they didn't have any game design classes at that point. But
tell me a little bit about the mechanics. Tell me about your baby here.
So Everstone is a game that is built around multi-use cards and engine building, and so it is set up where there's no round structure. It's everyone will take turns until the end game is triggered, which is based on reputation. So there's a track that once someone crosses 10 on the reputation track, you'll take equal number of turns, and whoever's highest on the track wins.
Now, a multi-use card, is that like two, like front and back?
If you're okay with me opening it.
Let's break it open. Let's make this into an unboxing too.
We don't have any top camera to show off, but we'll grab one of the starting Alex. But there are, and you're welcome to.
Yeah. We'll get close-ups of these afterwards, so people at home can see.
But
they're pretty cool.
There are 80 relics in the game, and hopefully I can quickly find some of the starting ones because they got foiled.
I noticed that all of your cards are sleeved. Do they come like that? Can the people expect when they buy them that they come pre-sleeved?
These ones were sleeved because I was making sure that the insert could accommodate for sleeves. Because a lot of people do sleeve their cards.
Yes.
And
if they're not savages.
So it won't come pre-sleeved, but it does accommodate sleeves.
That's interesting, because I know that sometimes it's an issue when you buy a game that's card-based. If you're going to sleeve it, it doesn't fit in the box anymore. And we've talked about that on our channel with certain games. And you're the first designer that I've talked to that's taken that into consideration. I'm not saying others didn't. It was probably just me not asking the right question. But that's very interesting.
I think it kind of is where that previous experience of product design and product development of like listening to the market, and as a personal gamer understanding, like I'm not as much as a sleever as I probably should be.
Really?
I have certain games sleeved, but I don't sleeve everything.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, some games it's a must because the card handling is so much, but there's other games where the cards just kind of sit there and you're not.
Like I don't sleeve Arc Nova, but I would sleeve any trick-taking game that where you're passing, or any drafting style game.
Oh yeah, when you're passing them to Captain Cheetos over there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't play with Captain Cheetos. He's got to wash his hands.
Right.
But I think that's sort of like listening to the market and knowing that, and then also I think there's a lot of designers that do this as well. I don't think it's a novel thing to me, but if this can't become my day job, I want to design games that I'm proud of playing myself and that I enjoy. And so things that would be luxury items like custom inserts and dual-laid player boards are things that if I only have one crack at it, even if it doesn't work out long term, I would like to have in the products that I develop.
Gotcha.
But back to your question.
Yes,
of
I got you off
multi-use.
track.
So each card has the core loop is that you have these. This will be half of your player board, and so your workshop will act as your hand, and so relics that you collect will go into your workshop as you collect the resources, which will be stored in the other half of your board.
And so the premise of the game is you are trying to collect. I should probably just let you tell me instead of me trying to.
Like the goal of the game is to get the most reputation points by the time someone gets 10.
But you're like revitalizing items, right?
Yeah, the theme of it is that Ignis is a city in Everstone where you are some of the first pathfinders that have like entered the land,
Okay.
and you start to uncover all of these broken down relics that are human made, man made, but like no one's there. They were left, and
Right.
so you are some of the first that have like kind of settled there and sought the opportunity to collect these because there have been rumors that they've put off this like mystical like aura of kind of like essence, and so
Okay.
we're looking to capitalize on that opportunity to help lead the new developed like city civilization into
Okay.
its next journey. So these relics represent all of the different items that are found and then brought back to Ignis to be able to be picked up for trade.
Okay.
But all of these items are not in working condition, so you're collecting these resources to then, on the banners of each of the cards, pay their repair cost, to then at this point choose to claim their reward. So
okay.
in the paper is the sell reward, which once you've repaired it, you'll discard it and gain its benefit. Or if you want to keep it yourself, it'll then get tucked under your player board, where it's a action selection system where you're moving your pawn to take the column of actions as you tuck cards under. It starts to create that engine that you'll be able to fire off action after action. So you're, while simultaneously trying to be efficient enough to get reputation to win the game, kind of managing, building out up to 4 different engines.
Me and engine builders go way back.
Perfect.
We have a rivalry. Engine builders hate me. I don't do well in engine builders, but I mean, like the other guys on the channel, they do great at engine builders. And you know, when you there's a great rush when your engine is working. Mm-hmm. It just seems I can't get that engine working a lot of times.
It is one of those games too where you don't need to have the most streamlined, efficient engine to be able to win.
That speaks right to my skill set of not having to be good at something.
So there's a element of tactical nature where, because everyone's moving out on the board, there's sometimes more of a benefit to not even put it into your engine, but use it for its reward to get that immediate bump.
Oh, so that's the dual.
Yeah, so the multi-use is sort of like, do I cash in it now for an immediate reward, or do I build it up into this engine to like snowball turns throughout the course of the game?
That's cool, I like that.
And so that was one of like the initial design elements that I found to be very like captivating in my brain, of like, I don't think I've seen anything that does quite this. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to wait for it. I'm going to try and make it.
Right, yeah.
And then the other one has to do with the main way that you'll gain resources in the game, the harvest mechanic, which...
Oh. I was going to dump some of these out right here. I know they don't go here when you play the real game, but I love those components.
Yeah.
Well, this is like a retail-ready version of what it looks like.
Hope. So the goal from getting into it was that if I was going to do it, I was going to try and do it like to what I perceived to be right.
Uh-huh.
So prior to even running the Kickstarter, I had basically sunk a bunch of capital into making it ideally retail ready, so that once like capital is raised to bring it to market, that it can be quick to on the shelves, where we are currently on pace for delivering when we're hoping to by the end of this year, but it's never a guarantee.
Right. I love those components. I like to see. I'm a sucker for cut gems like that. Yeah, I love to play like quartz and games like that, and some of his wooden pieces are cool.
Yeah, so as you're a sucker for gems, I'm a sucker for screen printed wooden pieces, and so
there we go.
The influence tokens and the caravans, I think, came out very well. But this is a quick visual of the actual map that you're playing on. This has to do with the harvest mechanic, which is the main way that you'll gain resources. So on your harvest turn, you'll roll 3 dice and choose.
Here it is.
You'll choose 2 of them to combine, which will determine which track you're moving up, and the leftover die is the number of that resources that you get. So if you combine these 2, you'd move up the blue track 1 space and get 5 blue resources.
That's cool. These are big die too.
They are big, chunky
that.
dice. It's one of the mechanics that or one of the actions in the game that through the like iterations of playtesting, it was a consistent like elevated action that people really, really commented on and enjoying. And so I felt like the grandiose of it deserves oversized dice because
Okay.
you really feel well. And then I really tried to pack as much multi-use into the cards as possible.
Okay.
And so on the back of each card is so in the game you'll have a deck of undiscovered relics. The back has a discovery combination as well as a free tool.
Oh, okay. So different die combos on the back.
And
of
so there's 3 different symbols which can help with die manipulation because it is first and foremost more of a Euro game. So rolling dice and randomness is usually no bueno.
Right. Well, hey, if you're playing a game, like I always say, go tell Las Vegas that people don't like luck. Things. I think people are fine with an element of luck when they try to find some entertainment. So
exactly, but I just wanted to provide a little more agency to being able to control which resources you gain. So the sign action is a free action that you can perform to one of the dice to help give some flexibility on where you're going with those. And then the combination, if you're ever able to match the back of the die, which I think, so like if we had rolled that, this has a free tool of -1. You could do that to match.
Oh, so you can use that to manipulate each. Okay, all right. Well, there's a lot of spinning plates. A lot of different ways to do different things, and it seems like no matter what you roll, you're not screwed because you might have cards that can manipulate it or things like that. So I like that.
It is, and then there's the payoff of you can choose to forego going up the tracks and getting the resources to discover a relic in working condition, which the card will then be revealed, and you get to skip the core loop of collecting it, getting the resources, and then repairing it to have it repaired right away. And so that was one of the elements early on that people seem to gravitate to. So I stripped out everything that wasn't working in the game and stuck with the harvesting mechanic and the card system. And it's turned out to something that hard to say, but I'm very proud of.
That's one of the hardest things about business is being able to kind of sell yourself. I'm the kind of person that that's not my wheelhouse.
That is a new skill I've had to learn.
I'm not a big self-promoter. But you have to be, because you can build a great game, but unless you're out there, kind of selling people on it, they might not find it. So
it's funny. Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come, isn't necessarily true.
Not for board games.
Yeah, it's just because you design something great, you have to have a great team to help market it and put it out to the world.
Yeah, I've seen some great games that have failed on Kickstarter just because people didn't know. The people that knew loved it. No negative responses, but just not enough people knew about it.
You just really need a wide reach, which was one of the things why when you had said this is very retail ready, Kickstarter, in my interpretation of what the research I've been able to do, all of crowdfunding has more pivoted towards that it's no longer a platform to give creators an opportunity to try and live their dreams. It's a way to accelerate the dream from already being taken. And there is to maintain a competitive edge, you really want to bring your best representation of what you're trying to bring to market there from day one, because the volatileness of the capturing the audience and retaining them it's a very narrow margin.
So where is your game right now? Right now when we're recording this, we're at Nerdfest. It's late April. What state is your game in the progression, and what's the coming milestones? How do we connect with you and your game?
Right, try to sell myself. So right now, the what we're looking at today is the pre-production copies of the game, and if anyone's not familiar with the process, that is basically what the factory will send you before they hit the mass printing button to make however many units you have ordered. And so there are slight changes that have been made from this one to the final one. But it is more of hey, this is what we plan to make X number of units of. We want your final approval before we, make however many units. And you're like, oh, this color was wrong on all of them. And so I received this about a week ago, and the changes have all been reformatted and made and sent to the factories. So at the start of next month, mass production will begin. The pledge manager just launched at the beginning of this week. So in the following coming weeks, late pledging will be open to be able to, if you missed the Kickstarter campaign, be able to back, as well as like put in your shipping information and set that up. And then with the quantities that we've ordered, it'll take about 2 months for production and to get onto the water. And if everything goes as planned, hopefully fulfillment will start end of Q4 this year or beginning of Q1 next year.
Okay, so hopefully in time for Christmas?
That is the hope. Inevitably, I will probably leave it up to my backers because shipping during the holiday season is a lot more expensive, and I would not want to have anyone bear that cost without kind of like a group consensus of it. So that'll be something that once I have verification that the container is on the water, figuring out what the logistical challenge will be of trying to get it there. But the goal is to have it under trees for Christmas or the holiday season, packed and wrapped for everyone.
So this is on Kickstarter, so people can go to Kickstarter and search Everstone, or do they have to search Everstone Discovering Ignis?
It should come up if you go to Kickstarter and search Everstone. You'll be able to click on the late pledge. It'll redirect to the GameFound Pledge Manager link, where if you haven't gotten the opportunity to back the game and you seem interested by this, you'll be able to check out a lot more there.
Okay, if you didn't see it before you clicked on this video, we'll have a link to his Kickstarter down in the description.
Perfect.
I thanks so much for joining us. This game looks really cool. Looks like a lot of fun. I mean, kudos for the kind of the time and the effort you put in to do the little extras here and there, because you don't see that all the time. So best of luck to you.
Thank you. I appreciate you giving me the platform to talk today.
Thanks for watching Inside Board Games, and we'll see you next time.